That just seems so early. They still have baby teeth in their mouth.
If you wait, it's just too late.
What's the treatment look like?
From traditional braces and expanders to something that's called Invisalign First.
I'm going to be honest with you, the first thing that comes to mind is how much is this going to cost me? Are we going to be able to afford it? Hi, Dr. J. I'm so excited to be here with you today. As parents, it can be extremely frustrating and confusing of knowing when to start with orthodontist treatment. And I have a 4-year-old daughter who, isn't necessarily in that stage of life just yet, but we're coming up on it. And for me, I had braces twice and had to have, I think, 10 teeth extracted. And so lots of dental care. And as a millennial, I'm wanting to do things way different than my parents did, but not knowing what the best thing is to do. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with you and wanting to just pick your brain about all the things and kind of grill you today because I want to know the truth. And so, what are your thoughts on getting braces twice, when to start? Just tell us everything.
All right, Ashley, this is awesome. It's a loaded question, so we're going to break that down.
Okay.
So let's start with getting braces twice. Tell me exactly what happened.
For me, it was, I got braces on the top 4, top bottom, and I had those for maybe 2 years, and then more teeth came in, and then we did all of them, and I lost my retainer probably, that whole shebang, and so, yeah.
Got it. All right, so I'm sorry you had to go through that. Let's back up a little bit. You said you got braces on your 4 front teeth. Great. That means you're probably between the ages of 6 to 9, and you had a mix of baby teeth and adult teeth. So at that age, if you get braces, they don't put braces on baby teeth. They only put them on adult teeth, which later on I'm going to explain to you that that's actually a big negative because you want to be able to move all your teeth and the jaw, but just grabbing onto 4 teeth, you're only doing probably about 30% of the work that needs to be done. And that's the problem with braces at that age. And there is an amazing solution to take that completely out of the equation and to actually make things really work. Now, let's back up once more. So if you had braces at that age, do you remember what they fixed? Was it your bite? Was it you just had some crooked teeth?
I don't remember. I was a kid, so, you're just running around. But my teeth were horribly crooked.
Got it.
So.
All right, that is awesome. So if your teeth were horribly crooked, I'm 100% sure I can guarantee you that your upper jaw, maybe your lower jaw, was really narrow. So what happens when the lower jaw and the upper jaw are both narrow? The teeth just grow in any way they can. And 100% of the times, they grow in crooked. Whenever I see crooked teeth between the age of 6 to 9, I can guarantee you every single time the upper jaw is too narrow. So when it's too narrow, you have a traffic jam. Those poor teeth are just trying to grow in any way they can. Now, how do you fix it? Or what do you fix? So if the teeth are crooked, you want to make them straight. So if they just slapped 4 braces on your top teeth and straightened your teeth, that didn't fix the problem. Because the problem was that you had a really narrow upper jaw. So you really have to go and attack the root or the cause of the problem, which is a narrow jaw. So you have to address that problem, meaning widen the upper jaw, widen the lower jaw to match, and then you can go ahead and straighten the teeth. And then the benefit is that the remaining adult teeth that have not grown in yet, they're going to grow in straight. And the chances of you needing braces later on when you hit around 12 years of age are very small. I would put it at about 5% chance.
Okay.
If it's done right, between the ages of 6 to 9, you got a 5% chance that you're going to need braces around the age of 12.
Okay.
So
yeah,
when people say I had braces twice, I always say, let's look into this. And were you informed? Did the orthodontist say, hey, what we're doing right now, ages 6 to 9, we're not just straightening your teeth. We're setting you up for success later on. Because if it's not explained to you properly, then you'll say, well, I got braces twice. That means I got ripped off and I paid twice for braces.
Exactly. Yeah. So am I crazy for looking into this when my daughter's 4 years old?
Not at all.
Okay.
That is so proactive of you. I love it. So Age 4, there's a lot going on. Now, when you say age 4, for me, immediately the first thing that comes to my mind is thumb sucking. So age 4, up to age 4, thumb sucking is okay. After age 4, thumb sucking is not okay. It's going to affect the jaw, the way the jaw grows, and also the teeth being straight or not. So age 4, very important. Make sure there's no thumb sucking or finger sucking habits.
Okay.
Also chewing on anything, for example, on a pencil or whatever it is, because all of that is going to reform the jaw, and that's going to cause problems. Also, age 4, you're just starting to see a lot of movement. You still have the baby teeth, of course, but you're going into age 5. And starting age 5 to age 6, that's when you're starting to see if the bite is off or not.
Okay.
And as a mother, you have that instinct. You could just look at your child and say, something is off. So whenever you see a bite that's off, you already know that subconsciously. So, and I love to say, okay, age 6 to 9 I can treat, but I want to see these children a little younger. So maybe age 5, they just come in. Okay. And I'll tell them, look, the consultation is free. You have nothing to lose, but let's just monitor this. Let's observe your child starting age 5. If they need treatment, then we'll start age 6. But I have quite a few patients that are coming in before, and we're starting them age 5 to 5.5. And those are the cases where there's not really a big jaw problem or anything like that, but there's 1 or 2 teeth that are in traumatic occlusion. Let me break that down.
Yes, please.
Traumatic occlusion is when they are hitting that tooth, and that tooth is just getting traumatized. So what that causes is sometimes it causes bone loss around that tooth. It causes a recession around that tooth. So these are small things that you want to look out for. It's subconsciously, if you see it, you'll know something's wrong.
Okay, wow, that's incredible. So my daughter, she obviously has all of her baby teeth, and she's 4. But you're wanting them to come in at like 5, even to get that free consultation to see where they're at. That just seems so early. Like they're not even, they still have baby teeth in their mouth. So what does that even look like? How does that work? That seems so confusing to me.
Ashley, I see this all the time. I hear it all the time. Not only the general public, not only Google, but also dentists, general dentists, recommend, no, don't go see the orthodontist until all the adult teeth are in. And that's around the age of 12. Give or take 6 months. So let's say 11.5 to 12.5. That's the range for both boys and girls. And for me, that is such a mistake, such a disservice. Why? Because you can't imagine how many kids I see. They come in age 12. They go to their dentist every 6 months for all their checkups and cleanings. And they come in. And I have a big sigh. And for me, it's a big letdown. Because when I have to tell the parents that, sorry, it's just too late for us to do what needs to be done, and the alternative is either wait until your child is 18 years old to get jaw surgery, or let's start treatment now, but we have to take out 4 totally normal, healthy teeth, you should see the disappointment in their face. Because they did everything right. They listened to their dentist. So it's really heartbreaking sometimes. Now, once your child hits age 9.5 to 10, or 9 to 10, it really depends. Everyone's not exactly the same. There's no set rules. So once they are outside that 6 to 9 age range, the bone hardens. What does that mean? The upper and lower jaw harden. And then it's so much more difficult to mold the upper and lower jaw the way it needs to be molded, or to widen the upper and lower jaw the way it needs to be widened. So remember, narrow jaw, severe crowding. Narrow jaw, bad bite. So if we can fix that painlessly and quickly, ages 6 to 9, you're golden. If you wait, it's just too late. So if they come in age 10, there's nothing I can do. I have to wait another 2 years until they hit age 12, and then we can do something. So if you're age 10, 10.5, you're in no man's land right there. So there's absolutely nothing I can do. Even if they wanted me to do, I can't. It's too late. The bone is hard. So it's a huge misconception. It's everywhere. It's on Reddit. It's on Google. It's on Facebook mom pages. It's everywhere. So How exactly can we change that? So the only way I can change that is when I have the opportunity, when someone comes in and we do start treatment, and then I just post it on my website. And I just show before and after transformations. And I'm just adding and adding. I'm constantly adding. And I'm not adding any easy cases. Every single one of them is extremely challenging. And I'll guarantee you, every single one of them that I'm posting on the website, if we hadn't done anything, for sure, 100%, they will need either extractions or jaw surgery.
Wow. Everybody else has this common theme of, wait. What's different about you that you say they need to come in earlier?
The results.
Okay.
I just show them the results.
Yes.
Because I'm not making this up. It's not in my head. I'm showing the results on my website. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, not only a picture, I threw in some videos too, video simulations of how we corrected these bites. So if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how much is a video worth?
So whenever they come in 6 to 9, are they getting braces? What's the treatment look like?
Yes, we can do it the old way, the traditional way with braces and expanders. And those expanders they're medieval. And orthodontists have been using them for over 100 years. Do they work? Yes, but there's a different way. It's like using dial-up internet versus fiber internet. So right now, we're in the year 2025. We have so many advances in everything. So why use these? I understand if they work, but if there's a better way, and there is a better way, from traditional braces and expanders, which are a lot more cumbersome, they're harder to keep clean, they do break, and they completely change your child's diet. Nothing chewy, sticky, or hard. We go to something that's called Invisalign First, which is removable. That means less cavities. They can eat anything they want, no diet restrictions, no emergencies, and a lot less pain. When I say less pain, for an expander, a metal expander, the gram force is 400 to 600 grams of force. Now, compare that to braces, which is 50 to 100 grams of force, and compare that to Invisalign, which is 5 to 10 grams of force. So the kids barely feel it. There's no reason for them to go through a painful procedure anymore. And during that window, 6 to 9, remember, the bone is soft and moldable. So everything is just so easy to do.
Okay. So you've been an orthodontist for a really long time. Have you been doing Invisalign that whole time, or how did you find out about it?
I've been doing Invisalign since Invisalign first came out in market, back in the 90s. So for over 25 years, I've been doing Invisalign. And I love treating kids 6 to 9, but I was using the old way, which is expanders, face masks, headgears. So it was really, really difficult. But the results were very rewarding, but it just took me a really long time to get there. We're talking 1.5 to 2 years. A lot of difficulty, a lot of pain, but I knew it was super necessary. So in 2019, COVID-19 happened. And even though Invisalign launched this in 2019, because of COVID, everything just was under the radar. And a few years ago, I picked it up. The Invisalign representative came to my office and said, "Hey, we got this thing for kids." And I scratched my head and I said, "It can't be, because Invisalign, everyone knows, is for adults and teenagers." I was intrigued, but I wasn't convinced. I said, "It sounds too good to be true. I got to try this myself." So I committed and I said, I'm going to try 30 cases. I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to see if it works or not. Case number 1 was Alexander, and it worked. Alexander had a severe underbite. He had a really narrow upper jaw. His adult teeth were not growing in. They went to the dentist. The dentist told the mom, "You better get this fixed, otherwise your kid's going to need jaw surgery." She went to the orthodontist, and the orthodontist said, "Sorry, can't help you. It's too early."
Wow.
And then they came to me. So I said, "Mom, let's try this." It was just spectacular how it turned out. She was so happy. Alexander was so happy. So that was my first one. But I said, one's not enough, because I committed to doing 30. So I did 30 before I really started believing in it. And then I can start, of course, talking about it. But I just kept my mouth shut until I finished those 30 cases. It took me anywhere between 6 to 16 months to finish all these 30 cases. And it was just incredible. It was life-changing.
Well, that's
So-
incredible. With my retainer, I was a teenager and I lost it immediately because I was way irresponsible. So with Invisalign, they have almost retainer type things.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. And so how do we expect our kids to do that at that young age, to be responsible and keep up with them?
So you said one key word.
Uh-huh.
It was teenager.
Yes.
So unfortunately, teenagers are at the bottom of the totem pole regarding compliance.
Fair enough.
So we have the least compliant are teenagers, followed by adults. And then the most compliant are kids,
Okay.
ages 6 to 9. Why is that? Because at that age, they're starting to see cause and effect. They're starting to dress themselves. They're looking in the mirror, and they still listen to mom and dad. Now, obviously, no one knows your child better than you. But I have incredible faith on all these kids in that age group, 6 to 9. Incredible faith. Sometimes I even have to convince mom that your child will do this. Not only do this, will be happy about it. Not only that, your child is going to change his or her own life.
Wow.
So the compliance is through the roof. I would say out of 100 cases, maybe 1 or maybe 2, we have to reset. Meaning, they're not doing well. They're either losing them or chewing on them or not wearing them. We do a soft reset, meaning they come in, I have a little talk with them, a little heart-to-heart, without mom around or dad around, just me.
Yeah.
Just me and the kid. And we say, look, this is what you're doing right now. You're helping yourself. You're creating an amazing smile. And then I pull out the typodont. It's called a typodont. It's like plastic teeth, like a big smile with braces. I said, go ahead, touch it, feel it. I said, you got any favorite foods? And everyone has some kind of crunchy, chewy favorite food, whether it's popcorn or carrots or whatever it is. I said, say bye-bye to that because we have to go back to braces. Mm-hmm. I said, look, you're not doing this for me. You're doing this for you. You're doing this for all your friends so you can smile at them. They can say, wow, what a great smile you have. You're doing it for the other kids in your class that have braces and expanders and you don't want to go there. So there's all kind of things that I can definitely share with a child, which is incredibly life-changing and only takes a simple conversation. And the way to explain it is as you're talking to an adult. I don't talk to a child. I talk to somebody right across the chair from me and I tell them how amazing this is going to be, how it's for them, not for me, and how the alternative is going to change their diet. Nothing chewy, sticky, or hard. Mm-hmm. So it only takes one talk, and after that, they're back on track. Yeah. It's just incredibly satisfying to see that they can change their own life. They're taking their smile in their hands, and they're doing all the work.
Wow.
So are they the number one most compliant group in my office? Yes, absolutely. Day in, day out. So there's never any fear that, is this going to work? Because I know they're going to wear 22 hours a day. So back to what you said, the key word was teenager.
Yes.
It's a different age group and it's a different approach.
Okay. So I can imagine that giving them that responsibility even like empowers them to be their own person and make those choices, which then will affect who they are as an adult. So what a beautiful thing. That's so cool. So when I was a kid, I got a retainer and, you know, they molded me for it. It took a while for it to come in and it was actually kind of painful. And so my thought is, oh my goodness, I'm going to be doing that to my kid every single time they get fitted for their Invisalign, every retainer. So I'm so curious, like, how does that work? I'm super like naive to all of this.
That is awesome, Ashley. I'm glad you brought it up because technology has come so far. So we don't use that gooey stuff anymore. It's called alginate. I did it to myself. I used to use it with patients for years. And it's just horrible because that stuff goes down your throat and you want to throw up and you have to wait. You can't move and it has to set. So that's done. We use something that's called an iTero. iTero is a scanner and it's like a wand and we put it inside your mouth and scan everything. And then digitally, we have an exact replica of your bite and of your teeth and of your gums. And then we just send that out to Invisalign, and then I work with them back and forth to find the best possible solution. Invisalign produces a set of aligners. So we have a set, top and bottom is considered one set. And then usually for kids ages 6 to 9, I do about maybe 6 months worth of aligners. And they come in 2 boxes. One box has about 15, the other box has about 15, let's say, aligners. So what happens is every week you change these out. And there is movement built into every set. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and just widening and moving those teeth and fixing the underbite or overbite, whatever it is. So every single aligner in 7 days, it gets the job done. Then you put it to the side. Never throw them out because you never know, you may lose them. But put them to the side and just keep going. So it builds amazing momentum, and it helps fix the bite, fix the teeth, fix the jaw problems, whatever they are. And you just keep going. So that's the beauty of it, that you don't have to get fitted for every single one. We've already determined your path to a beautiful smile, and we already know that at number, let's say 26 aligner, we already know how your bite's going to be exactly. Now, of course, there's a compliance issue. If you don't wear them 22 hours a day, we can't reach that endpoint. But even if we're close to it, you're going to see an amazing transformation. And that's what makes this incredible for kids ages 6 to 9. That's why they're so compliant, because by number 5 stage or number 10 stage, they see such a movement, such an incredible transformation that they're into it. They bought into it. They love it. They even remind their parents, hey, I got to put my aligner back in. Hurry up and finish up with this dinner, because they know that they're looking better every single week.
So what happens if my kid loses their aligner? Is it a game over?
You have that box of about 15 aligners. Let's say you're on number 5 and all of a sudden you lose number 6. So no problem. Just go to number 7, because we have so much momentum and we can just glide into it, and it's only 7 days. Sometimes I get a more frantic call like, oh no, little Johnny lost number 3, 4, and 5. That's fine. Go to number 6. Wear that for 2 weeks. And if there's any question or any doubt, we have an amazing texting program where you can just snap a picture and text it to us, and I'll take a look at it and I'll say, okay, you're on track, or wear it a few more days, or whatever it is, or come on in for a scan, or whatever it is. So it's super easy. You don't have to come in for the office if you lose something. We can definitely guide you through either texting or video or email and make your life so much easier.
That sounds really convenient and a huge win for parents everywhere.
Of course, your time is valuable.
Is there anything else that it can affect, maybe like sleeping, or because all my friends are talking about holistic approach with this, and so I'm just curious on your thoughts of why this is so important.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is super important. So holistic means the whole thing, looking at the whole thing. And I totally believe that. Why? Because starting with your bite, right? Looking at your bite says so much about what's going on the inside. Now, you said your daughter is 4 years old. So I'll ask you a question. Does she snore?
I don't think so.
Okay.
She's a loud sound machine.
Does she grind her teeth?
Yes.
Okay. So if she snores and grinds her teeth, or if she just snores, or if she just grinds her teeth, that means there's a problem there. Okay. So the problem is that's just not normal. Someone grinding their teeth is not normal. That's immediately a red flag, and that shows that something is going on. So what is going on? If she's grinding her teeth at night when she's sleeping or snoring, that means she's not getting enough air. The key word is airway. Airway is the buzzword right now, but it's super important, because if you don't breathe and if you don't get enough air, you're not getting enough oxygen. And as we know, oxygen is life. So if she's not getting enough oxygen, that means the airway is smaller than it should be.
Okay.
That means the airway is small. So what can we do about it? Well, we can either go to the ENT and do surgery and remove the tonsils or the adenoids, which I think is not the best idea, because those are your first line of defense. They are there for a reason. We were created with those for a reason. Or go to a sleep therapist and make sure that sleep therapist is working with an orthodontist. Why? Because we need to widen the airway. If it's a narrow area, what needs to be done? You need to widen the airway. If it's a small, narrow street, what do? You have to create a highway there. So you need that exchange of air. So widening the upper and lower jaw has changed so many lives. Just reporting. I don't advertise that because I want to
something overpromise. Okay, yep.
Underdeliver. Yes. Just promise them the basics.
Yes.
And then they come back and like, guess what? My daughter, my son doesn't snore anymore. And it's super simple. They're not snoring because now they have an upper and lower jaw that is wide. Wow. And that tongue is not sitting back there and blocking. So the tongue is a tongue. And if it doesn't have enough space, it's the boss. And when it's the boss, that's a problem. So the tongue usually wants to rest at the roof of the mouth. That's why we have that shape, because it fits the tongue exactly. But if you have a little narrow jaw, what happens? The tongue can't rest on the roof of the mouth. So what does it do? It just goes down and falls back. And when it does that, it blocks the airway. So if you have a wide upper jaw and a wide lower jaw, and the way it should be, and you have that nice palate vault, the tongue goes and rests there. It doesn't block that intersection anymore. Say goodbye to snoring. Say goodbye to grinding their teeth, because now they have a good airflow. So I'm very glad you brought that up. That is a holistic approach. That's just one part of the puzzle, right? You also have diet. If you have a bad bite, let's say you have an underbite, you're like this. It's so hard to chew. I mean, even if you try, or a huge overbite, like a Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Just try to chew. You can't chew properly. So if you're not chewing properly, you're like, I just can't. It's just so painful. It's so annoying. I'm just going to give it 2 chews. I'm going to swallow it. So what happens? You're not chewing enough. That means you're not breaking down your food. Also, you're not chewing enough times. So you're not breaking down your food. And also, you're not producing enough saliva that's going to go into it. Because you need that saliva. That saliva is starting to break down the food as it's moving down into your digestive system. So you have all this half-digested or undigested food in your gut, and that causes many problems. So gut health is super important, but where does it begin? Gut health begins in your mouth. So you have to break it down, chew it, and also mix it with saliva enough, so then everything is easy. And so that's one problem. But the other problem is this, not only this generation, but let's say 100 years back, or even more. Let's say 150 years back. So look at their diet then. Right after breastfeeding, what's the diet? Do you immediately go to a soft diet or semi-soft diet? Or do you immediately go to a hard diet? You see all these excavations and you see all these mummies, and they come out and they have perfect teeth. And they have their wisdom teeth. Wow. And they have 4th molars too. So they got their 1st molar, the 2nd molar, the wisdom tooth, the 3rd molar, and they have a 4th molar. Nowadays, people are taking out the wisdom teeth constantly because there's just not enough space. So that's a sign. As we progress and we become more civilized, if you want to say that, our diet becomes softer. So that's another problem. Now, combine not enough oxygen, combine gut health, which is a problem, combine you have a bad bite or kids making fun of other kids because they have Bugs Bunny teeth, or they have weird teeth, or they have gap teeth, or they have an overbite, whatever it is. And that all wraps up into mental health. So you could have the best diet, the best so-called health, but if your mental health's not there, you're finished. So this is definitely has to be a holistic approach. You have to see the whole body as one unit that has to function well and has to function as a team. And that's why I think that bad bites or bad teeth is a gateway. It's super important. Does it all begin there? Well, I mean, if you can't breathe and goes through your mouth, if you're not eating properly and goes through your mouth, and if kids are making fun of you because of your teeth, I mean, you have 3 things there that directly affect your mental health.
I think it's so good to hear you say that because as a mom, you feel like, does anyone care about my kid the way that I do? Or are they looking at my child as a holistic approach? Mm-hmm. And just to hear you say that is just brings me as a mom so much peace and like comfort knowing that you care about those things. So as far as time and saving money, I mean, Invisalign sounds amazing. It sounds like a no-brainer, but I'm going to be honest with you. The first thing that comes to mind is how much is this going to cost me? Like compared to normal braces, is this, 10 times more? And are we going to be able to afford it?
Actually, that's an excellent question, but it's also my number one most common question.
Okay.
Invisalign sounds expensive, but whether you do traditional braces with expander or headgear or whatever other appliance we use for this treatment between the age of 6 to 9, or whether you do Invisalign, I've priced it the same. Okay. Why? Because I don't want anyone to think that, oh, Dr. J is trying to upsell me and get me to go with Invisalign. It's the same. It's the same, and in the long run, everything's going to cost you less. Now let's break that down. So with Invisalign, there's no emergencies. With braces, braces, something chewy, sticky, or hard, someone gets hit in the face with a dodgeball or whatever it is, there's an emergency. You have to come back to the orthodontist, me, and I have to glue that back on. Or the expander is loose. You have to come back and glue that in. So that's one emergency visit, let's say. Let's say one emergency visit per month, and the treatment is 18 months. Then let's add to that time and treatment. If your kid's in treatment for 6 to 12 months versus 18 to 24 months, you've just saved a year of treatment. So that's less back and forth, less trips, less gas. Now let's look at it another way. So if you do this treatment now and you intercept any severe problems later on, you're going to avoid having braces for 2 to 3 years like everyone else at age 12. And you're going to avoid having to do extractions. Extractions are not covered by the orthodontist, so you have to go to the dentist and get 4 teeth extracted or even jaw surgery. Let's say the problem is so bad and you didn't fix it ages 6 to 9, well, then you have to wait until your child is 18 years old. Why? Because they stop growing, and then you have to get jaw surgery. And the jaw surgery for orthodontics is called orthodontic surgery. Right now, they're about $25,000 to $35,000. So it's a no-brainer. Do the work now. It's fast. Mm-hmm. It's painless. It's quick. There's no emergencies. And then it's going to be done, because later on, if you don't fix the problem, it's going to be so much worse. Now, if you come in and we do traditional old style braces and expander, and that means that you're going to have the braces on and then the expander or the headgear or the face mask, whatever it is, I have to see you every 8 weeks. If you're with Invisalign, I get a whole box of aligners, and I see you every 15 weeks. So that's less visits to come see me. So every single time, in every case, you're saving time and you're saving gas. And the last one, with braces, it's very hard to brush. Whether you're an adult, a teenager, a kid, it's just hard to brush with braces. Heck, I have braces. It was hard to brush. So what happens? The chances of a cavity goes through the roof. So if you get a cavity, well, then what do you have to do? You have to come to me. I have to take off the brace. You have to go to the dentist, get the filling done, come back, put the brace back on. So that's more time, more money, and more effort. So in the long run and in the short run, you're saving so much money. Now, affordability. I don't think many people know that all orthodontists offer payment plans. You have an in-house interest-free payment plan, or you can go, we have all these different ways where you can do really long, extended payment plans. I mean, there is a 36-month payment plan for a 12-month treatment. Whether it's interest-free or with interest, whatever it is, everything is possible. So it's going to be way less than your car payment. And think about it. You can do payment plans. You can get the treatment done, and you can save later on. You're saving because you don't have to do braces twice. You don't have to do jaw surgery. You don't have to do extractions. And the longer your kid is in braces, if your kid's in braces for 2 to 3 years, how many visits is that? Figure out how much you're going to spend in gas alone. And of course, your time.
Yeah, taking off work, everything.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. So it seems like Invisalign First is a no-brainer, but it needs to be in that 6 to 9 age range, that golden age window. So what would you say to the parents who have missed that age range?
Still come in.
Okay.
Let me take a look. Because there are some cases where the kid's 9.5 and they're still in that window. Why? Because everyone develops differently, grows differently, matures differently. And sometimes we still have a little bit of residual growth left. It's rare, but for girls, it's rare over 9. But sometimes for boys at 9.5, we can still do wonders. But if they're age 10, it's just done. But at least come in. Let's get an x-ray. Let's get some pictures. Let's get an idea of what is laying ahead of us so we can plan it. And sometimes I'll say, look, there's nothing we can do right now. It's unfortunately too late. But let's observe this. And when all the baby teeth are out and all the adult teeth have grown in, then we can make a decision. But at that point, my hands are tied.
Dr. J, is there anything that a parent can do now to try to figure out if this is a right fit for their child?
Absolutely. And I made it super easy. It's a 30-second quiz. You just jump on and click, click, click. And in 30 seconds, you'll know if your kid's an Invisalign First candidate or not.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for putting that together.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we go?
Yeah, there's a really cool video that I put together, and I'm actually describing and showing my actual patients.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been incredible, and I feel like I'm ready to make an appointment.
You got it.